Broskos. So just gonna come in with a quick vidski today in response to Cristiano's video on going deeper than day game, going deep into approach, going deep into male psychology. What's going on with it all? It's interesting, like being part of the entourage, guys who are going out caning cold approach, getting to know all these guys. It has been quite interesting. Yeah, it's a bit like the insecure person who goes to become an actor or actress because they want validation, and they put themselves in the worst possible place where you're constantly being judged. They're like the hardest arena to get validation is to become an actor. And it is interesting that, especially people who struggle, the hardest place to go and get validation, literally the hardest place, is in daytime cold approach. You can get it, and you can get it at scale actually, but you get a lot of rejection as well. So that's an interesting one. It's almost like, yeah, people putting themselves really in the fucking mixer, you know, which you have to respect. To be honest with you, you do have to respect it. So before I get into the psychoanalytics, the first thing I just want to say briefly is that daytime approach is something that anybody would find difficult, even the person with, you know, the most perfect childhood, etc., great loving parents and so on. They still find it difficult, if not borderline impossible. So that's something everyone should bear in mind. There's a reason that nobody does it. There's a reason that literally practically nobody does it. The only guys who naturally do it is cultural, Italians, Dominicans, and South American, actually Latinos in general, and Africans. But Asians don't do it, Western Europeans don't do it, Eastern Europeans don't do it. It's extremely atypical behavior, right? Much more reserved cultures. So yeah, that's the first thing I just want to say. I don't care who you are. If you're in any of those places I just mentioned, daytime approach is not exactly the norm, and anyone would find it difficult. I would honestly put myself up against literally anybody, even celebrities, and say, come out on a session with me and we'll see what's what. And I think they'd crumble, to be honest. Maybe it's a bit of an egotistical thing to say, but I do think, yeah, doing daytime cold approach, like, it's no joke, man. It's no fucking joke, psychologically. Yeah. So once you can actually do it, yeah, I think you're justified in. I'd love to have a little daytime approach challenge with people, you know. And the guys who are actually truly sick at it, like all the guys who just go at it, guys in the entourage, like it does command respect. It does command respect. Let's get out of the wind here. So let's get into the psychoanalytics now. The church here in the background. Let's get into the psychoanalytics of it, of female validation. Kristian went into a really good in-depth analysis of his own life, putting the pieces together of why to him he craved female validation so much, and different things that affected his childhood, things that drove him to become a magician. It's almost like, yeah, it's crazy that people, like, when you've got an issue you need to be resolved, people go almost to the worst possible place to resolve it, like the most challenging place. You want validation, you want acceptance, go become a magician. Very difficult, right? So that was amazing. It was amazing fucking live he just did that. What I would say as well to that young version of Kay, that young guy, what a fucking guy. What a young fucking lad to go and do that off his own back, you know, like it's just as a way of channeling and focusing, you know, this challenge, like taking a sledgehammer to his own social anxiety. What a fucking guy, man. Seriously, that kid deserves a major slap on the back, basically. And yeah, let's move on from that, the topic of female validation, because I've got speculation on this that there's so many different things. There's so many different things that can affect people as children in a negative way when they become adults. Specific to relationships, specifically men relating to women. Let's take the first one. Insecure love and affection and time between the ages of 0 and 3. That's bad. That's actually very bad. You're guaranteed to have attachment issues, because that's wired into you on your nervous system as a fucking infant child. Okay, so you're guaranteed to have attachment issues. You're guaranteed to be insecure attachment style. Guaranteed. You can rewire that because the brain is neuroplastic for your entire life. So it can be rewired. That's something 0 to 3. Yeah? I was fortunate, I did not experience that at all. I didn't experience that at all. I had very healthy, stable life in that period, 0 to 3. So fantastic, lots of love, it's all good. I didn't experience that. But if you know that was the case in your life, you got an indication, that may explain your insecurities, right? As I say, it's something that can be rewired over time as well. It's amazing how neuroplastic the brain is. Then there are other things as well. You can have divorces, you can have separations, you can have female authority figures, right? And this is a major issue for nice guys, is the female authority figure, or maybe the slightly crazy female authority figure. Women basically shouldn't be authority figures. It's not in them biologically. They're not designed for it. Psychologically, biologically, they're just not designed to be authority figures. You see it in the workplace, all this stuff. I'm not going to go on a rant against women, but when they are given any level of authority, I've almost never seen an instant where they don't become tyrannical. It's just not in them, right? They need to be number 2, yeah? And it does need to be a good man who is in charge. As they say in like the Ukraine and Russia, the man is the head, the woman is the neck. Yeah. That's how it should be. When you put the woman as the head, they can't handle it, basically. So when you have like a female authority figure, they usually on some level are not designed for it, they hate it. You've got a child looking up to that figure, and for whatever reason, they over-identify with the mother, the female becomes the source of your acceptance or non-acceptance in this world. Really what you need is the father figure there, who is the source of acceptance and non-acceptance. That's really what you need. And then the mother, she's doing her motherly stuff, right? So a lot of guys, especially in this divorce culture that everyone's growing up in now, a lot of guys have got that. It's fucking them up, basically. So that's another one that could fuck you up. Yeah, and then also just pathological mothers and pathological fathers, you know, or mutual pathology, right? There's a lot of things that can get you, okay? There's a lot of things that can get you. Then you can also have external situations, you know, in childhood itself. Let's say if I look at myself, like, I've done psychoanalysis on myself in different lives, so I don't want to go into it too much, but there was definitely, to put it mildly, my dad is pathological, to put it very mildly. I've handled all that stuff, to be honest with you, but I am starting to realize maybe that's why, like, there's like an ambivalence in a sense to, maybe as a child I actually needed more from my mom, in a sense, because, which I probably got, but because the male figure was so pathological. So does that transpose onto women? Does that make rejection sting more? And does that make acceptance more pleasant? I don't know. It's worthwhile speculating on that. It's something I'm thinking about. Well, then there can be other things as well. Like, for example, for me, I was playing high-level sport from being about 12, football, in the academy system in the UK. So I was with Sheffield United and then Hull City. I got as far as the reserve team, which doesn't sound much, but it's quite hard to do. It's actually very hard to do. But within that, there's this weird thing where you have all these adults, and in retrospect, I realized how pathological some of these coaches were. They loved this little tiny little bit of power they had over these kiddies, these 13, 14-year-old kids. They fucking loved it, and they abused it in a lot of cases. There's obviously the extreme version of that, like the guy over at Crew. I'm not talking about anything like that, but just a general abuse of power, you know, playing games with these kids and stuff like that. It's not good, man. It's not healthy. And the other thing as well is you're always being reviewed and monitored. You're always being analyzed. That can weigh on your mind as a child, yeah, as a 13-year-old, yeah, a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old. That's actually not normal. When I think back as well, like I probably lived under that cloud of constant fear of judgment from being 12 to 18. That's when I left the game at 18. I played like non-league football after that, and I didn't really take it very seriously after that. So I was doing it full time from 16 to 18. But that cloud is always over you. And if you don't have parents who know how to assist you through that, I don't think it's very good, to be honest with you. I think it can, yeah, it can just leave a little area of your psyche that's somehow trapped in that space. So maybe there's a bit of fear of judgment there. I don't know. Yeah, it's a strange one. It's something that people have talked about, I think, in developmental literature. Is you've got to be careful when you're judging children and you're rating them and things of this nature. You've got to be very fucking careful with that. That can cause issues for people later on. So that could be another thing. You know, is that why I care? I still care about what people think. I don't know why. You know, is that another thing there? And this is why actually cold approach is such a good cure, because it cures caring what people think. It also cures any issues with women, basically. Any neediness with women. And also, to be honest with you, I also think it's perfectly normal for men to want to go after women. I don't even think that's pathological. I think it's perfectly normal, you know? So, yeah, I think it's completely normal. I don't think everything you do in life is based on pathology. I think that's a mistake, you know, based on Freudian analysis and stuff. Most of what I do, when I go to eat, it's not because I've got a pathology, I was starving as a child. When I go to hit the gym, it's not because I was like unfit as a child or something. Most of what we do impulsively, or a good portion of it, is just perfectly normal. It's not pathological to have ambition. It's not pathological to want to get women. This is all actually quite normal. But there can be pathologies sometimes attached and can get involved in things. So yeah, that's a bit of self-psychoanalysis. I think I've seen it in the entourage guys who've had different situations where I think most of the guys are a combination of highly sensitive people with actually some genuine pathology that went on in their childhood. And that combination also combined with immense drive. And so I think that combination potentially leads people into this world. And you have different groups, even within cold approach. You have guys who are coming into it as a last resort because they can't get anything anywhere. That's fine. No shade on that. And then you have other guys who they've had good experiences, they've had girlfriends, they've had maybe options for marriage, they've had whatever, but there's still something inside them which says, I'm not free. If I can only approach a girl in a club, I'm not free. I am not fucking free. That was my case, and I know there's a few guys in the entourage who are a little bit similar to that. And at the end of the day, whether you're coming in, it's your first approach, or whether you've done 5,000 approaches before, whatever you've done in the past, you still have to go and do the same thing. It's not really that much easier, to be honest. It's not that much easier. The difference is just maybe experience level, and I think you probably get earlier success. You get earlier success if you've got more experience. But the guys who don't have that experience, they can come in, like there's guys in the entourage who've been out of everything for decades, and they come in, they just keep grinding, and they eventually get there. If anything, maybe they even become the best. I don't know, because they almost just know daytime approach, which can also be a benefit as well. So that's the psychoanalysis I'm doing here. It's a psychobabble. The last thing I want to say as well is think about the frustrated will. I think this is something I've not heard specifically analysed. It comes up in a bit in Schopenhauer and Nietzsche and stuff. Is a frustrated will. When you will for something, you want something, and yet for some reason that's frustrated, either when you're a child or even when you're an adult. That actually has a negative impact on you. You start to kind of get learned passivity. For example, there's a famous experiment where if you put a monkey in a cage, a gorilla in a cage, and when it goes to get its food, you electrocute it. And then sometimes you electrocute it, sometimes you don't. But let's say 70% of the time you electrocute it when it goes to reach for the food. Eventually it just sits on the, it sits in the middle of the cage in a passive state, and it can't do anything because it knows it's got no control. And it's like in this slumped in a stupor, right? The same can happen with a human being if their will is constantly frustrated. So if you are going out and getting after it, and you're never getting anything, I understand why. You can go learn passivity. It's actually a normal reaction. It's a normal reaction. That's why you need to get help. That's why you need to get around guys who are good. That's why, especially guys who are young, you shouldn't be going to get laid and become a player. Get a fucking girlfriend. Get a girlfriend first. Yeah? That's like, it's much easier to get a girlfriend than it is to become a player. I don't understand, like, for me, I don't understand that idea of like young guys, they all want to become players when they're like 19. Just get a girlfriend for a bit. Get a girlfriend for 6 months. Try it out, you know? But yeah, that learned passivity, that can come as a result of frustrated will. And I sometimes think in my own mind, like, do I have a bit of that? So it's a weird thing my old man used to do, who's a very bizarre person. When I read the diagnostic account of a sociopath and narcissist, it's like their comorbidities, those two things. I read it when I was 23, and I was like, that's weird. That's exactly like my old man. Fortunately, as a very young child, I identified something was very wrong with that guy, and I was able to put up a lot of defenses, which is why now, as an adult, I still do have a lot of those defenses. Whatever. But he used to do something weird, which is like, he'll take you to the sweet shop and be like, yeah, what do you want? Take whatever you want, like, pick whatever you want. You're like, okay, great, I'll have these Starbursts. No, you can't have that, you have this. You're like, no, I don't want that. No, I want that. No, have this. Like, it's a very minor thing, right? But he would do that all the time with anyone, including like my mom. So it's like, yeah, my mom would have the same. It's like, you can have whatever you want as long as it's what I want you to have. It's actually a very fucked up thing to do to somebody, because you're basically saying your will is irrelevant, my will is what's important. It's a very minor example, and it's not in the top 1,000 issues I would have with that guy, but it's just a good example, right? It's like, have what I give you, not what you want, right? It's like, well, don't offer them. I think eventually at like 12, I was like, literally, fuck off. Don't fucking offer me anything. Like, I clocked it quite young. So yeah, it's weird. The guys are fucking weird. Yeah. I'm watching that fox suffer, by the way. I actually do believe in vengeance, by the way. This is like, I say this outside, I think this is one thing that Christianity gets completely wrong. Vengeance is good. Vengeance is one of the sweetest pleasures you will ever get. And no, don't make out you need to forgive, all this crap. Yeah, whatever. Get vengeance if you can. Vengeance is a very good thing. And I'm actually watching that guy like disintegrate. It's not my vengeance. It's the gods are wreaking vengeance upon him in his later life. And I'm enjoying watching it, to be honest. Yeah, when I've had vengeance in the past on people, like I had a legal case against someone a few years ago, complete utter cunt, complete fucking cunt, and had a legal case against this guy. He thought he was going to get away with what he did. I brought a legal case against him. Nothing to do with my old man, nothing to do with that. but the fact I brought a legal case against him was the start of the vengeance process. He actually died while I had a case against him. And what's even more crazy is, I don't give a fuck. I was in the Dominican Republic, living next to a Haitian village, and I actually did a Haitian curse on this guy. And I promise you, he died 2 weeks later. I promise you. I got the email from my lawyers. I was like, what the actual fuck? So he's dead. The case continued because it was an insurance thing. I went to court. I won the case. So that fuck died, and he had to pay me back from hell. I cannot describe the feeling of that vengeance. Yeah, one of the best feelings I've ever had. It's literally like beyond even orgasmic. It's like, it's incredible, right? Yeah, when someone has truly wronged you, truly, yeah, vengeance is a great thing. Yeah, I'm not talking about some guy who bumps into you in the street or some bullshit like. I'm talking like people who really shouldn't. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, my point. I've gone off on a fucking rant about vengeance there. This is the dark side, right? I'm not afraid of my dark side. I'm not afraid of it. I embrace it. I embrace it because I know I have a lot of the light, but I have a lot of the dark as well. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. But yeah, things like the frustrated will. You know, were you frustrated by your fucking mom or your dad, or was there something that was fucked up that happened to you where you're like, no, that's actually abnormal. I should have been allowed to go out to play. Why did you keep me locked up and doing this, that, and the other? I think there's a lot of things that can affect children, especially sensitive children, and then they can carry that into their adulthood. So, on the other hand, we are very strong creatures. We have the ability to rebound. We have the ability to fight back. We've got the ability, you know, given by somebody, yeah, by somebody, even if it's just evolution. We have this phenomenal ability, right? This phenomenal neuroplasticity. We can fight the fuck back, you know? Just like Kristian, he's like a fucking child getting bullied by a fucking scouse dickhead when he's trying to do his magic tricks, yeah? Fights his way back, you know, essentially to like, the guy's fucking like not even 30 and he's like completely donning the internet and men's dating, making loads of money just with like a band of brothers around him. So we can all fucking fight on. We can all fight back. But you've got to find people to assist, man. You've got to find people to assist. You ain't gonna do it alone, man. You're not gonna do it alone. It might be a bit of a therapist, first of all. I wouldn't stick with that for too long, but a little bit to put you in the frame. Your boys, you know, maybe a coach, a life coach, whatever it is. Even a religion, you know. Religion's good, man. Religion's fucking good. A lot of people of people have been saved by this guy. A lot of people. I'm probably not one of them, to be honest, but a lot of people have. So, yeah. I just want to finish it on a note of optimism. All of the things fucked with people, you can overcome them. Yeah? And for me, the cold approach thing, this is helping me on some level I don't probably even understand, but it's definitely helping me. And yeah, I just finish on like, it's noble, man. It's a noble art. It's a noble art. The hard arts, the noble arts, you know, the martial arts, you know, the art of whatever, fucking literature, dance. Cold approach is a fucking art. It's an art, it's a sport, and it's noble, right? It's emotional jiu-jitsu. Most guys aren't gonna fucking do it. Yeah? And then you get to a point of fluidity with it where it's so fucking easy, you can't even believe it was ever difficult. So, that calls time on my video. Peace and love.